Fit like a bee, Danny Min here, and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2 Around the World in Time. We're here at Liverpool Lime Street where we're going to be jumping on the Thunderbolt, and we're going to be doing the route between, come out of there actually, I need to set you to go, the route between Liverpool and Birmingham. Now this is going to have the first ever map transition, so we will have to see how good or disastrous this is gonna be. I've got it all planned out. Hopefully it should be fine. It should look seamless. But yeah, so this is what the plan was for this series, to sort of join everything together and have like one huge line. Now in a megalomaniac size map, it takes a long time to traverse a map, regardless of how fast your train is, because it is in game a seriously long distance, not by real world standards, but in game it's a long distance. That is not accounting for traffic or areas of the map where your train or vehicle might have to climb a hill, etc., slowing down for corners. There you've got that's a lot of steam coming out of that Bolton railway train. Right, so it takes a long time. It should take an exceptionally long time. Oh, really? Autosave? Why have you appeared, my friend? So it should take an exceptionally long time to do one of these actual routes. I mean, imagine doing London North Eastern Railways, Aberdeen to London, and then following that train on a Transport Fever map, sort of going over one map to the next. It's going to take quite a long time, but there should be some interesting scenery and other locomotives, other trains and vehicles running around the map. I mean, once we get into the era of aircraft, there will be a lot of planes, etc., flying around the sky, and that'll be kind of cool as well. So you won't just have trains, you'll have buses, trucks. If a train is near the coast, you'll see some ships out at sea. You'll have your other passenger trains and freight locomotives that are running along the same line. So there should be plenty going on. It should take a sufficiently long time. You could probably, using the new skyboxes, the Sunset and Dark Sky mod, have a train leave during the day somewhere, travel an extremely long distance, and then arrive there just as night begins to fall. You could probably have, using the night skybox, an actual sleeper locomotive. You could maybe remove some of the daytime services from the line and just have them running. That'd be kind of cool. And you could have freight run as well, because a lot of freight is run at night when the main lines are not as busy. So that's going to be kind of cool. As for the series, it was supposed to be around the world. It still kind of will be. So right now I'm focusing on the UK maps, the UK sections. So we've started building out a couple of maps. Obviously this takes a long time to build out the maps, but someone was asking me, it was like, this is going to take ages to rebuild like every sort of line in the UK, etc. And it will, to begin with. However, once we reach a certain point, all the lines will be done. All the sort of scenery around the lines will be done. And it'll just be a case of forwarding through time and adding the locomotive specific to that line. So there'll come a point where everything is built and I don't have to spend ages building anything anymore. And we'll pretty much race through the sort of eras. So it's slow to begin with, but it will speed up. Once we're done with the UK, we'll just jump on another country. I will keep the UK maps saved. I will keep all the maps saved, and we can sort of go from sort of country to country. We could jump on the Eurostar at London St Pancras, go on a journey through the maps under the Channel Tunnel, appear at the north of France, and end up somewhere sort of central north of France at Paris. Same with something like the Thalys TGV. We could leave that, jump on that from Amsterdam and go all the way to is it Brussels? I think it goes to Brussels, right? And then you could jump on that and transverse through the maps. With the new update, there has been a few issues because I use a lot of heavily scripted mods. Industry mods, anything that adds new industries is a scripted mod because it is changing the script of the game to account for new industries. This is a problem during the update. All your vehicles, etc. should work as intended, as they were supposed to do. The heavily scripted mods and map mods will be affected, unfortunately. So I'm working on mitigating some of the damage from that. But with the new mod comes a new feature which I can add. So you can save preferred mod lists, which will be excellent because all the base scenery, all the house assets, the ground textures, the plants, the field textures, rock textures, other vehicle assets, all the buildings which I've already said, etc. I want them to be available in every map, so I can actually save them, and then just all I need to do is go through the vehicles. Say we're doing a map of France, just go through all the vehicle mods and say, right, I don't need any of the UK stuff, I need stuff from France and Central Europe, all their sort of liveries, the wagons, etc. And these are simply the mods that I need, and it'll become a hell of a lot easier than it is now because it's a real minefield. When I was setting up the Belgium map, because we were going to go straight onto the Belgium map, I was porting over a lot of UK sort of stuff that's not really appropriate for Belgium, and it was just becoming a real mess to try and figure everything out. So yeah, we'll get the UK done first. It's going to be slow to begin with. We're still only in something like 1837. We're going to sort of blitz through to like 1850s, and then really large railways will have to be built. That's going to take time. Once they are sort of built, I will have the sort of main groundwork for main lines in the UK. So you'll have the London North Eastern Railways main line. We'll have the Great Northern Railway, Great Western Railway, the West Coast Main Line, etc. All your sort of lines in Wales and down to the southeast of England, all the ScotRail stuff, etc. up in Scotland. Most of that groundwork will be laid, and if everything is great, if everything is looking good, then it'll just be a case of when the years tick over and new trains become available, we'll be adding the new trains onto those lines. We'll be updating buildings, etc. to make them more modern. So that will take a bit of time, but not as much time. A lot of the architecture in really old cities in the UK remains pretty much the same as it did back in medieval times. If you go to York, York is a fantastic point in case for like a city that's sort of lost in time. It's got really old sort of architecture. It's really nice. It's a nice place, York. So yeah, we'll just sort of work around that. Obviously, upgrading stations and things will become a fact as well. But thank God for Google Maps, because I can literally get aerial views, and there are a lot of images on Google of train stations, etc. Wikipedia has been a godsend for the moment. We'll be jumping into Wikipedia because I'm going to explain a bit more about the Grand Junction Railway and its beginnings. But yeah, Wikipedia is a great source of knowledge. You can literally go on, for example, the DRS Mainline, which was a company that sort of bought locomotives and then leased them out to other rail networks and companies that were maybe struggling and needing other locomotives. Fantastic. You can actually go onto Wikipedia. It will tell you all the rolling stock they have, where it previously operated, where some of it was leased out to, etc. And you can find out all that information, which is perfect. That is going to come in really nicely when the time sort of comes. But yeah, so here we are. We've just passed Warrington. We're heading for Hertford. I've seen a couple of other trains, great Grand Junction Railway trains on the line. So this is actually working well. This section of the line is not as congested. The sort of private railway owners, sort of private rolling stock owners have not yet entered this line. So there's no sort of freight trains or anything really in the way to sort of screw anything up. It's just plain sailing for the trains thus far on here. But if I go to my... Here is my Grand Central information. It's gone. Hold on. Yeah, Grand Junction Railway. Grand Central Railway came later. Yeah, so yep, the Wikipedia's awesome. The Grand Junction Railway was an early railway company in the United Kingdom which existed between 1833 and 1846 when it was amalgamated with other railways to form the London and North Western Railway, which will become a thing shortly. Yeah, so the line built by the company was the first trunk railway to be completed in England, arguably the world's first long-distance railway with steam traction. The lines which comprise the Grand Junction Railway now form the central section of the West Coast Main Line. So as I was saying before, this line is built. It will have to be expanded upon. But yeah, the basis for a section of the West Coast Main Line is in. It is this section, the section that goes through Warrington Bank Quay, past Hertford, and then heads over to the other map. There we go. There's a Grand Junction, actual Grand Junction livery train right there. We'll explain a bit more in a moment, but we are approaching the time, the dreaded time. So we're approaching the area where we are gonna transition from one map to the other. Now right now this is being done by way of trees. I've basically placed a forest at the end of each track where the train will go into trees, and then when we jump across it'll still be in trees. We will notice it. Not all the trees at the point where we jump back in are going to look the same. The other way I could do this is by tunnel. So if we were to send the train in a tunnel, gets halfway through the tunnel, I stop recording, load up the other map, join the train as it's sort of in the tunnel section on the other map, because tunnels, the tunnel textures inside look identical for about 90% of the tunnels that are in game, unless it's a modded one and it has a different in tunnel texture. So that is one way we could do this, but we are heading for Middlewich. Now this is Winsford on the right hand side right here. I see the trees. Oh god, I'm actually nervous. Now for you this should seem seamless. For me, I need to load up the other map, find a train, the correct train, the same train that we're on now, and then jump on that as it's heading through the trees. Right, so there is the trees. So once we get into the trees, right, you can also see the station at the bottom here. But transition in 3, 2, 1, and dink. We're back. Did it work? How did that actually look? I've got no idea how that actually looked. I will see it when I go to sort of post editing and go to render the video and stuff, but I've no idea how that actually looked. But we are now on the sort of Gloucester to Chester map, which is the next part of the railway. So I don't know how that looked. Trees might be okay, we might have to go with tunnels, we'll have to see. But as far as I know, it's sort of gone okay. I've realised that this section right here, yeah, that section of track there is quite hellish. It's a real roller coaster. That needs to be changed. Oh, I do see a train in front of me though. That's interesting. Where the hell did you come from? you were not there 2 seconds ago, are the other trains on this line not as fast as the Thunderbolt here? We're still on the Thunderbolt. There she is. The Thunderbolt in all her glory. Yeah, that may... I think that went pretty well, actually. Obviously, I'll find out later. But yeah, so... Let's do a bit more information on our Grand Junction Railway, since we are now on this Birmingham section. So, the Grand Junction Railway Company was established in the second half of 1832. So, way before the time we are at now. We are at like 1837, so 5 years prior. By consolidation of 2 rival companies, the Birmingham and Liverpool Railway Company, and the Liverpool and Birmingham Railway Company. Yeah, so a lot of thought went into the names of those railway companies. So basically, the second railway company was formed and thought, wait, we can't call it Birmingham and Liverpool Railway Company because there already is one, so we'll just name it Liverpool and Birmingham Railway Company. Completely different. So, it was designed by George Stephenson and Joseph Locke. The Grand Junction Railway opened for business on 4th of July 1837. That's why we're at 1837. Running for 82 miles from Birmingham through Wolverhampton, Perrybar and Bescot, Stafford, Crewe and Warrington, then via the existing Warrington and Newton Railway to join the Liverpool and Manchester Railway at a triangular junction at Newton Junction, which we've kind of got. The Grand Junction Railway established its chief engineering works at Crewe, locating them from Edge Hill at Liverpool. That is why I built the Crewe train works, because the locos for the Grand Junction Railway were built there. So that's why I built that. It began operation with a temporary Birmingham terminus at Vauxhall, the travelling post office, where mail was sorted in a moving train, was instituted on the Grand Junction Railway in January 1838. Using a converted horse box, it was carried out at the suggestion of Frederick Cardstadt, a general post office surveyor. When the London and Birmingham Railway opened on 17th of September 1838, services were routed to and from Curzon Street Station, which it shared with the Grand Junction Railway, the platforms of which were adjacent, providing a link between Liverpool, Manchester and London. The route between Curzon Street Railway Station and Vauxhall preliminary consisted of platforms of which were consisted of the Birmingham Viaduct. It consisted of 28 acres, each 31 feet wide and 28 feet tall, and crossed the River Rhea. In October 1838, the Liverpool Mercury reported that it is confidently expected that after the ensuing winter is over and the embankments on the London and Birmingham line are well settled down, first-class trains between Liverpool and Manchester and London will not occupy more than 9 hours in the journey. This being accomplished with further improvement could be desired between London and Lancashire. 9 hours to get to Liverpool to London. Holy crap, that's ages. I think you can go Aberdeen to London in something like 8 hours, so yeah, vast improvements have been made. So yeah, it also says here in 1840 the Grand Junction Railway absorbed the Chester and Crewe Railway soon before it began operation. Considering itself a part of the Grand Junction network, the company encouraged the development of the North Union Railway, which extended the tracks to Preston, and it also invested in the Lancashire and Carlisle Railway and the Caledonian Railway. So there you can see they are starting to try and head up north towards sort of Preston, Lancashire, and then up to the Caledonian Railway, up past Carlisle and to the Caledonian Railway in the south of Scotland. So there is your basic groundworks for the West Coast Main Line, all the way from London up to Glasgow, really. So Once we've added that in, that will be one huge railway completely finished. But here we are, still heading through the wilderness. It seems the train in front has possibly disappeared. Yeah, it's gone. It just needed a bit of a head start. But it's away now, so we are good. So yeah, we passed the castle. I don't know if you can know. Castle's gone. Castle's gone, people. I don't know if you actually saw. I was too busy reading the Wikipedias. These trees were deleted. They were destroyed. And now they're back. Possibly because you destroyed them and exited the game without saving. Therefore, the next time you're loading them in, resurrecting them back onto the side of the railway. Okay, that makes sense. Oh no, we're stuck. Where are we? Oh, we're heading for Stafford. Okay, we're at Stafford. I've not learned where everything is on this track as of yet. Now, we will do another run from Birmingham back to Liverpool. I'll maybe change that up though. So we'll do it at sunset, or we'll maybe do it at night. That'll be kind of cool. I've got an idea to upgrade these tracks with electrified lines and throw some Pendolinos, some West Coast Pendolinos on it. Avanti West Coast ones. Kind of like when we threw the diesel 158 class back onto the Liverpool-Manchester Railway. You know, send some new age trains back in time. That might be kind of cool. I'm also thinking about saving the old timey stuff, like the way the maps are now, and then comparing them later once the railways and stuff have been modernised. Because right now we've got a lot of dirt roads either side of the track, a lot of dirt roads all over the map. Soon these will be changed to paved roads, and then in the future they will be dual carriageways, motorways, highways, whatever you want to call them. All that is going to change as sort of progress advances. But here we are, approaching Wolverhampton, which I am still very undecided how I am going to fix Wolverhampton, because the water for the river that runs through it is kind of a mess. If I'm perfectly honest, I would love to rework this whole area. I will get better with placing the placeable water once time comes. There was a fantastic mod for Transport Fever 1, and it was the Lakes and Rivers mod, where you could literally turn on the contour lines. You could place it. You set little markers around the boundaries of where you wanted your water to be. You pushed finish, and then it would populate it with actual water that looked properly like water. You could actually make rivers and waterfalls with it. That's how good it was. It was awesome. I have tried porting it over to Transport Fever 2. It does not work. The scripting must be very different from Transport Fever 1, unfortunately. Hopefully someone remakes that mod. It was a glorious piece of kit. There was another one as well where you could place, there was the farming mod where you could place fields, the forest one where you could just mark out an area, select what trees you wanted it to be populated with, and then boom, it was there. Same with the fields. That would make field creation a hell of a lot better and a lot easier than going around and painting every sort of field texture on different fields. It really would just blast through and cut the time in half for creating that scenery. There is a bush on the track. Hello, bush. Yeah, I still need to do a little bit more cleanup in this area. There we go. So there's water. You can see it like shimmering because they are not perfectly at the same height. I do not know what's happened to this train that is in front of us. You see, all of the trains on this line have a top speed of, I think it's roughly 34 or 35. Maybe the train in front is just slower at accelerating than our Thunderbolt is. Well, we're spending a long time picking up. What the hell just happened there? Something weird just happened with that AI. Right, so there is Dudley. Good old Dudders. Again, I am sincerely hoping that these areas, these towns, villages, etc., expand out. I want them to expand out all the way over here. Hopefully they will. Yeah, all the trains seem bunched up, which could mean that there's possibly a slower train that I've not realised, and I've put it to the head of the line, and all the other trains are catching up with it. I don't know if you can actually see it from here, but our Agnoria is somewhere over there. Somewhere over there? So yeah, somewhere over there. I can see the bridge. I can't see the actual train. It could be down towards the sort of Stourbridge side. Yeah, oh, this needs to be flattened, because this is all going to be buildings. This is all going to be Birmingham. This section we're in right now is going to be heavily populated with buildings. Now, it did say in the Wikipedia there that there was a large viaduct, of which I do not have, so we'll have to... I'm going to research that, see what that's all about. Elevation was definitely a thing that was used to bypass existing infrastructure in towns and cities, etc. Basically just build a huge bridge, a huge viaduct over the top of all the buildings, etc., rather than demolishing a bunch of stuff to get new train lines in. Right, so here we are at Birmingham, which is it's extremely popular here. Lots of people wanting to use the train. And off in the great beyond is well, that's where we will be going at some point. We will be continuing this line off towards London, so that's another huge section. So you'll literally be transitioning the whole of this map, and then probably, because we're heading up the west coast, heading up north, you'll be transitioning the entirety of the Liverpool-Manchester Railway map, and then possibly transitioning a little bit of another map, and then into the Grand Central, the sort of central London map, where our Great Western Railway is. So yeah, that is going to be interesting, but we shall leave it there for that episode. Yeah, hope you enjoyed the little drive along. We'll do another one later on at sunset or at night, and we'll do the sort of Birmingham to Manchester section. That'll be fine. Yeah, but we'll leave it there. Yeah, so that's going to be it for this episode. As always, if you did watch this and you would like to leave a like, comment or dislike, then please feel free to do so. And if there is more you would like to see in the future, then hit the subscribe button. But I've been Danny Min, this has been Transport Fever 2, and I will catch you later.